I thought I was giving my grandson the best birthday of his life. But when we walked in, the decoration said someone else's name. I've been a nurse for 32 years. I've seen chaos, I've seen emergencies, and I've learned to stay calm when everything around me is falling apart. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what I saw that Saturday morning at Maplewood Events Hall. My name is Evelyn Carter, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. For the past 3 months, I'd been planning my grandson Liam's 7th birthday party. Not just any party, the party. The kind of celebration that would make him feel like the most special boy in the world. The kind that would fill the hole left by his mother, my daughter Sarah, who we lost 2 years ago to cancer. Maplewood Events Hall wasn't a random choice. It was sacred ground. 28 years earlier, Sarah had her own 7th birthday party in that very same venue. I still remember her spinning in her yellow sundress, laughing so hard she got the hiccups. When I called to book it for Liam, tears streamed down my face as I gave them my credit card information. $2,900. Every penny of my savings account. But for Liam, for Sarah's memory, it was worth it. I spent weeks planning every detail. The invitations featured superhero themes. Liam's obsession. I ordered a 3-tier cake from Sweet Crumbs Bakery, decorated with tiny edible action figures. I bought blue and silver balloons, banners that read, "Happy 7th Liam," and even hired a magician who could pull rabbits from hats and coins from ears. The night before the party, I barely slept. I kept imagining Liam's face when he walked in and saw everything. The decorations, his friends, the cake. I imagined him smiling the way Sarah used to smile. That pure, uninhibited joy that children have before life teaches them to guard their hearts. Saturday morning arrived bright and beautiful. The Tennessee sun painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. I picked up Liam at 8, and he bounced in the passenger seat the entire drive, asking every 30 seconds, "Are we there yet, Grammy?" Almost, sweet boy. Almost. When we pulled into the parking lot, my heart swelled. Cars everywhere. The party was at 11, but some parents must have arrived early. Good. That meant people cared. That meant Liam would have the celebration he deserved. We walked toward the entrance, Liam's small hand tucked into mine. He wore his favorite Spider-Man shirt and new sneakers that lit up with every step. I could feel his excitement radiating like heat. I pushed open the double doors, and my world tilted. Pink. Everywhere, pink. Hot pink balloons clustered in enormous bouquets. Unicorn cutouts plastered across the walls. Glitter, so much glitter, scattered across tables covered in pastel tablecloths. A massive dessert table overflowed with cupcakes topped with edible butterflies and flowers. But it was the banner that made my blood run cold. Stretched across the entire back wall, in enormous shimmering letters. "Happy 8th, Bella." I stood frozen in the doorway. Liam tugged my hand. "Grammy? Why does it say Bella? Who's Bella?" My mouth opened, but no words came out. My brain scrambled to make sense of what I was seeing. This couldn't be right. I had the confirmation email. I had the receipt. I had called twice to confirm. A woman in a floral dress approached, clipboard in hand, smiling brightly. "Good morning. You must be here for Bella's party? You're a little early, but—" "No," I interrupted, my voice shaking. "I'm here for my grandson's party. Liam's party. I booked this venue 3 months ago." Her smile faltered. She glanced down at her clipboard, then back at me. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we have Bella Richardson's 8th birthday party scheduled for 11 o'clock today." Has been for 6 weeks. The floor seemed to drop out from beneath me. That's impossible. I have a confirmation. I paid $2,900. The woman's face went pale. Let me get the manager. As she hurried away, I looked down at Liam. His brown eyes, Sarah's eyes, stared up at me, confused and beginning to glisten with tears. Grammy, where's my party? I knelt down and pulled him close, my heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. But even as I held him, something else crept into my mind. Something cold and unsettling. The name, Bella. Why did that name feel familiar? But this wasn't just a mix-up. It was the beginning of something darker. Have you ever walked into a room and realized something's terribly wrong? If you have, you'll want to hear what happened next. Make sure you're still here when I tell you why that name, Bella, was never random. The manager's office smelled like vanilla air freshener and desperation. Mine, not hers. Maya Chin sat across from me, 20-something with nervous hands and a tablet that kept glowing with notifications she ignored. She'd introduced herself as the venue coordinator, but her eyes told me she was in over her head. Mrs. Carter, I'm looking at our system right now, and I see... She paused, scrolling frantically. I see Bella Richardson's party booked for today at 11 a.m. It's been in the system since August 15th. That's impossible. My voice cracked. I pulled out my phone with trembling fingers, found my confirmation email, and turned the screen toward her. Look. July 23rd. I booked this 3 months ago. I have the receipt. I have the confirmation number. Maya's face went pale as she compared her tablet to my phone. This doesn't make sense. Your confirmation code is valid, but what? But it's not in our current calendar. It's like it was deleted. The words hung in the air like smoke. Deleted. How does a $2,900 reservation just get deleted? There has to be a mistake, Maya said, though she didn't sound convinced. Let me call the owner, Mr. Patterson. He's been managing this venue for 15 years. Hill. The door burst open. A woman glided in like she owned not just the moment, but the entire universe. She wore a white sundress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, with gold jewelry that caught the light and threw it back like tiny accusations. Her blonde hair fell in perfect waves. Her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. I'm so sorry to interrupt, she said, though her tone carried no apology whatsoever. I'm Danielle Brooks, Bella's mother. I couldn't help but overhear there's some kind of confusion. The way she said confusion made it sound like I was the problem. Maya stood quickly. Mrs. Brooks, we're just trying to sort out a scheduling issue. It appears there may have been a double booking. A double booking? Danielle's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. That's unfortunate. But we've had this party planned for months, dear. Months. I have 30 children arriving in 45 minutes. A magician. A caterer. You understand. She wasn't talking to Maya. She was talking to me. I stood, drawing myself up to my full height, which still left me several inches shorter than her. I understand that I also have a party booked. For my grandson. I have proof. Danielle's eyes flicked to Liam, who sat in the corner chair, still wearing his Spider-Man shirt, still looking confused. Something flickered across her face. Was it recognition? Pity? Contempt? Of course you do, sweetheart, she said, her voice dripping with honey-coated condescension. But sometimes these things happen. Technology fails. Wires get crossed. I called twice to confirm, I said, my voice rising. I spoke to someone named Jennifer. She assured me everything was set. Jennifer left 3 weeks ago, Maya interjected quietly. Danielle smiled wider. The kind of smile that never reaches the eyes.
See?
Staff turnover. It's a nightmare. I'm sure this is all just an unfortunate glitch. A glitch that cost me $2,900 and my grandson's birthday party. For just a second, one fleeting second, something cold passed over Danielle's face. Then the mask returned. I'm truly sorry, but surely you can understand, we can't disappoint 30 children. Perhaps you could reschedule? I'm sure Maya can find you another date. Maybe next weekend. Next weekend isn't his birthday, I said through gritted teeth. The door opened again, and a man entered. Tall, dark-haired, expensive suit despite the Saturday morning hour.
He didn't speak.
He simply positioned himself slightly behind Danielle, his hands in his pockets, watching. My husband, Ryan, Danielle said casually. He's just here to help set up. But Ryan Brooks didn't look like he was there to help with anything. He looked like a silent sentinel. A warning. Danielle pulled out her phone, tapped the screen a few times, and showed it to Maya. Here's our contract. Signed and paid in full. $3,200. $3,200. $200 more than I'd paid. Maya, sweetie, Danielle continued, her voice sickeningly sweet. Why don't you go ahead and start preparing the room? The caterer should be arriving soon, and I want to make sure the gift table is positioned correctly. But Mrs. Brooks, we haven't resolved. There's nothing to resolve. Danielle's voice turned to ice. We have a valid contract. Unless you'd like to refund us our deposit and explain to 30 children and their parents why there's no party. Maya looked at me, genuine anguish in her eyes. Mrs. Carter, I am so sorry. I don't know how this happened, but I promise we'll investigate and issue you a full refund. I don't want a refund. My voice echoed off the walls. I want my grandson's birthday party. Liam started crying. Quiet, heartbroken sobs. Danielle's expression didn't change. Perhaps, she said slowly, you should have confirmed more recently. These things happen when you book so far in advance. The accusation hung in the air, like somehow this was my fault. My mistake. My failure. Please, I heard myself say, hating the desperation in my voice.
Please.
Just give us 1 hour. 1 hour before your party starts. That's all I'm asking. Danielle tilted her head, considering. For a moment, I thought she might actually show mercy. Then she smiled.
Sorry.
We have a magician and 30 guests arriving any minute. I'm sure you understand. She turned to leave, Ryan following like a shadow. But as she reached the door, she glanced back. It's just a scheduling glitch, she said. But her smirk suggested otherwise. I stood there, trembling with rage and helplessness, watching them disappear into the hallway. Maya was saying something about refunds and apologies, but I couldn't hear her anymore. Because as I turned to pick up my purse, something caught my eye. On Maya's tablet, still open to the calendar, I saw the edge of a note attached to the Richardson booking. Just 3 words before the screen went dark. Request from Ryan. And in that moment, I realized this woman wasn't a stranger at all. Would you have walked away or demanded answers right there? Tell me in the comments because what I found next changed everything. I should have left. I should have taken Liam by the hand, walked out those doors, and never looked back. But I've never been good at walking away from things that don't make sense. After Maya escorted us out with promises of refunds and investigations that I knew would lead nowhere, I sat in my car with Liam buckled in the back seat, his face pressed against the window. He'd stopped crying, but the silence was worse. It was the silence of a child learning that the world disappoints you. Grammy, can we go to Chuck E. Cheese instead? His voice was so small. Of course, baby. Of course we can. But I didn't start the car. Not yet. Through the windshield, I watched the parking lot fill with luxury SUVs and pristine sedans. Parents in designer athleisure, carrying elaborately wrapped presents. Children in party dresses and bow ties. This wasn't just a birthday party. It was a production. And something about it felt staged. Liam, honey, I need to run back inside for just a minute. I forgot. Grammy's reading glasses. You stay right here, okay? Watch a video on my phone. He nodded, already absorbed in a cartoon before I even handed him the device. I walked back toward Maplewood Events Hall with my heart hammering. The front doors were propped open now, workers carrying in floral arrangements the size of small trees. I slipped inside, keeping my head down, blending in with the chaos. The main hall had been completely transformed. What was a pink wonderland 20 minutes ago now looked like a magazine spread. A balloon arch framed the entrance, not just pink anymore, but rose gold, white, and iridescent. The dessert table had been expanded. A professional photographer was setting up lighting equipment. This wasn't thrown together in 45 minutes. This was planned, coordinated, expensive. I moved along the far wall, trying to look like I belonged. Staff members rushed past, too busy to notice an older woman in sensible shoes. My eyes scanned the room, searching for
There.
Danielle's cream leather purse sat on a chair near the gift table, unattended. She stood 20 feet away, directing workers with the precision of a general commanding troops. I knew what I was about to do was wrong, possibly illegal. But the nurse in me, the one who'd spent decades advocating for patients when systems failed them, wouldn't let me walk away. I approached the chair, my pulse roaring in my ears. Glanced around. Danielle's back was still turned. I reached into the purse. My fingers found paper. I pulled out a folded invoice, hands trembling. It was from Maplewood Events Hall, dated August 22nd. Confirmation number, NWE 072347. I stopped breathing. That was my confirmation number. I read it again, certain I'd made a mistake.
But no.
There it was. The exact same alphanumeric code that sat in my email, dated July 23rd. But this invoice showed August 22nd, exactly 1 month later. The same number. 2 different dates. Same venue. Different names. Someone had duplicated my booking and dated it later to make it look like Danielle had booked first. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and took 3 pictures. Wide shot, close up on the confirmation number, close up on the date. Can I help you find something? I jumped, nearly dropping my phone. A staff member, young man with a name tag reading Marcus, stood behind me, arms crossed. I'm sorry. I thought this was my table. I'm with the Brooks party. The lie came out surprisingly smooth. He frowned but didn't challenge me. Guest tables are on the other side. Of course. My mistake. I walked away on unsteady legs, tucked the invoice back into Danielle's purse, and headed for the exit. Didn't run. Didn't look back. Just moved with the purposeful stride of someone who belonged. Outside, I gulped air like I'd been underwater. Liam was still watching his cartoon, oblivious. I got in the car and immediately dialed Maplewood Events Hall. Good morning, Maplewood Events. This is Kevin speaking. I need to speak to Mr. Patterson, the owner. Immediately. I'm sorry, ma'am. Mr. Patterson isn't available right now. Can I? This is Evelyn Carter. My grandson's birthday party was stolen this morning. Someone used my confirmation number and... Ma'am, I'm going to stop you right there. His voice went cold, rehearsed. We've been advised that all inquiries regarding this matter need to go through our legal team. You'll receive an email shortly with contact information. Your legal team? I'm the victim here. I understand you're upset, but I'm not authorized to discuss this further. Have a good day.
Click.
I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to dead air. 20 minutes later, my phone dinged. An email from Maplewood Events Hall. Dear Mrs. Carter, we sincerely apologize for the confusion regarding your reservation. After thorough review, we've determined a duplicate reservation was made in error. Your deposit of $2,900 has been fully refunded and should appear in your account within 3 to 5 business days. We appreciate your understanding. Maplewood Management. I open my banking app with shaking fingers. No refund. No pending transactions. Nothing. They were covering it up. Deleting evidence. Pretending I never existed. I stared at the email, reading it over and over, until the words blurred together. It wasn't just a mix-up. It was a cover-up.
But why?
Why would Danielle Brooks, a stranger, steal my grandson's birthday party? What possible reason could she have? I started the car and pulled out of the parking lot, my mind racing. Liam asked where we were going, and I mumbled something about Chuck E. Cheese, but I wasn't really paying attention. I drove on autopilot, taking surface streets instead of the highway, my thoughts spiraling. That's when I saw it. A billboard. Massive. Impossible to miss. In memory of Sarah Carter. Nashville's heart. Forever remembered. And there, 10 feet tall against the bright blue sky, was my daughter's face. The steering wheel jerked in my hands. I pulled over so fast the tire squealed. Liam yelped from the back seat, but I couldn't respond. I could only stare at the billboard. At Sarah's smile. At the dates beneath her photo. At the memorial fund information. And at the small text at the bottom corner. Sponsored by Brooks Memorial Foundation.
Brooks.
My blood ran cold. Most people don't believe things like this happen until they see it for themselves. Stay with me, because what came next tied everything back to my family's past. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, staring at that billboard. At Sarah's face. At the name Brooks. Liam eventually fell asleep in the back seat, his little chest rising and falling with the innocent rhythm of childhood. I envied him that peace. My hands were still gripping the steering wheel when I finally forced myself to look at the fine print at the bottom of the billboard. Through the haze of shock, I read the words again. Brooks and Carter Memorial Realty, honoring those we've lost, building futures together. And below that, in smaller text, founding partners, Ryan Brooks and Danielle Brooks Carter. Brooks Carter. Not Brooks. Brooks Carter. My daughter's last name. The world tilted. I fumbled for my phone, nearly dropping it, and searched Brooks Carter Realty Nashville. The website loaded slowly, each second an eternity. And there it was. A professional photo at the top of the homepage. Danielle and Ryan Brooks standing in front of a pristine office building, both smiling like they'd conquered the world. But it was the About Us section that made bile rise in my throat. Danielle Brooks Carter brings 15 years of real estate expertise to our firm. After losing her dear friend Sarah Carter to cancer, Danielle vowed to honor Sarah's memory by giving back to the Nashville community through charitable real estate ventures and memorial foundations. Dear friend. Dear friend? My vision blurred with tears. I scrolled frantically, clicking through photos. There, a gallery of our charitable work. Images of the Brooks Memorial Foundation. Pictures of Sarah at various events, smiling, healthy before the cancer. Photos I'd never given anyone permission to use. And then I saw it. A photo I'd taken myself. Sarah's 30th birthday, 3 years ago. She's wearing a yellow dress, her favorite color, standing in front of Maplewood Event Hall. The same venue where, this morning, Danielle Brooks had stolen my grandson's party. My hand shook so badly, I nearly dropped the phone. Sarah's 30th birthday. I'd thrown her a surprise party. She'd been so weak from chemo, but she insisted on celebrating. "I'm not dead yet, Mom," she'd laughed, though her eyes were hollow with pain. And her best friend had been there. Her best friend since college. The one who'd held her hand through the early treatments. The one who'd promised to always be there.
Danielle.
But she hadn't called herself Danielle Brooks back then. She'd been Danielle Morgan. The memory crashed over me like ice water. Danielle Morgan, who'd stopped visiting after Sarah's diagnosis got worse. Who'd stopped answering calls. Who'd vanished completely in the final 6 months of Sarah's life. We never knew why. Sarah had been too sick to chase after a friendship that had clearly died. And I'd been too focused on keeping my daughter alive to worry about a coward who couldn't handle watching her friends suffer. But now Danielle was back. Using my daughter's name. Using her image. Building a business on the ghost of the woman she'd abandoned. I called the one person I knew could get answers fast. Marcus Jennings Investigations. This is Marcus. Marcus, it's Evelyn Carter. I need you to run a background check.
Now.
I don't care what it costs. Marcus Jennings had been a detective before he retired and opened his PI firm. He'd helped me once before when I suspected a co-worker of stealing medication from the hospital. He was thorough, discreet, and fast. Evelyn, what's going on? Danielle Morgan. Also goes by Danielle Brooks Carter now. I need everything. Where she's been, who she married, any business connections. Especially anything involving real estate or event venues. Give me 3 hours. It took him 2. I was sitting in Chuck E. Cheese, watching Liam play skee-ball with a forced smile, when my phone rang. "You're not going to like this," Marcus said without preamble. "Tell me." Danielle Morgan married Ryan Brooks 4 years ago. Right after your daughter, Sarah, passed away. My stomach dropped. Ryan Brooks? That name sounds. Liam's father. Your daughter's ex-husband. The world stopped.
What?
Ryan Brooks divorced Sarah 6 months before she died. It was quiet. Sarah didn't contest it, probably because she was too sick. But records show Ryan began a relationship with Danielle Morgan 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. I couldn't breathe.
Couldn't think.
There's more, Marcus continued, his voice grim. Brooks Carter Realty? They're not just real estate agents. They own properties. A lot of them. Including Maplewood Events Hall. I whispered.
Yeah.
They purchased it 18 months ago through a shell company. Technically, it's not listed under their names, but I tracked the LLC. It's theirs. Everything clicked into place like pieces of a nightmare puzzle. Danielle hadn't just stolen my reservation. She deleted it. She owned the venue. She could manipulate the system however she wanted. Why would she do this? I heard myself ask, though I already knew. Deep down, I already knew. Evelyn, I dug into their financials. Sarah's life insurance policy. Ryan was still listed as the beneficiary when she died. $300,000. He collected it even though they were divorced. That's not possible. I helped Sarah change her beneficiaries. I watched her sign the forms. The insurance company has no record of that change. Either the paperwork was never filed, or it was deliberately destroyed. My daughter had been erased. Her wishes ignored. Her memory stolen. And they're using her image, I said flatly. For their business. Without my permission. That's likely illegal, but it would take a lawyer too. I don't care about lawyers right now, Marcus. I need to know what else you found. He hesitated. Danielle's daughter, Bella. Date of birth is interesting. She was born 8 months after Ryan and Danielle got married. The timeline hit me like a freight train. 8 months after the wedding. Which meant Danielle had been pregnant during Sarah's final months. While Sarah was dying, her husband and best friend were building a family. She wasn't trying to ruin a birthday, I whispered. She wanted to erase my daughter. Marcus was quiet for a moment. There's one more thing. I pulled social media archives. Old photos. Danielle and Sarah used to celebrate their daughters' birthdays together when they were in college. They both had kids around the same time.
Wait.
Sarah never had. I stopped.
Liam.
You mean Liam and Bella were supposed to be like cousins? Friends. In another timeline, yeah. But after the divorce, after Sarah died, Danielle moved forward with Ryan and created this whole new life. Using Sarah's memory as a foundation. I hung up and sat in the plastic Chuck E. Cheese booth, surrounded by screaming children and flashing arcade lights, feeling like I was drowning. That's when I noticed Liam running toward me, holding a small stuffed animal he'd won. Behind him, on the wall, was a birthday party set up, someone else's celebration. And then I remembered. The banner. At Maplewood Hall. Happy 8th, Bella. I'd been so focused on the shock of seeing the wrong name that I hadn't looked closely. But now, in my mind's eye, I saw it clearly. The corner of that massive glittery banner. Stitched into the fabric, almost hidden. Initials. In tiny thread. LC. Liam Carter. My grandson's initials. On Bella's birthday banner. The banner had been meant for Liam. Someone had ordered it, customized it, and then changed the name. She hadn't just stolen our party. She'd remade it, claimed it, erased us. If someone used your family's name like this, what would you do? Subscribe before the next twist catches you off guard, because trust me, it only gets worse. The house was too quiet that night. Liam had finally fallen asleep around 9, exhausted from Chuck E. Cheese and the emotional weight of a day he didn't fully understand. I'd tucked him in, kissed his forehead, and whispered the same lie parents have told children for generations. Everything's going to be okay. But I didn't believe it anymore. I sat in my kitchen with the lights off, the only illumination coming from the small lamp in Sarah's old room down the hall. I'd kept it exactly as she left it. Her nursing textbooks still on the shelf. Her yellow dress still hanging in the closet. The photo of her holding baby Liam, just 3 days old, still on the nightstand. I picked up that photo now, my fingers trembling. I'm sorry, baby girl, I whispered to the image. I'm sorry I didn't protect you from them. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. Sarah's smile stared back at me, frozen in time.
Happy.
Hopeful. Unaware of the betrayal that was already brewing around her. Danielle and Ryan had taken everything from her. Her husband, her best friend, her insurance money, her dignity. And now they were trying to take her son's memories too. But they'd made one critical mistake. They'd underestimated a grandmother's love. I opened my laptop, the screen casting a cold blue glow across my face. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. A storm was coming. I'd spent the last 4 hours researching. Every public record I could find. Every business filing. Every social media post. Marcus had given me the foundation, but I needed more. Brooks Carter Realty had expanded rapidly in the past 3 years. Too rapidly. Properties acquired at suspiciously low prices. Shell companies with vague ownership structures. Charitable foundations that seemed to spend more on administrative costs than actual charity. And Maplewood Events Hall wasn't their only venue. They owned 3 others across Nashville. All purchased within months of Sarah's death. All funded by money that should have gone to Liam. I pulled up the insurance documents Marcus had sent. Sarah's life insurance policy. The beneficiary change form that had mysteriously never been processed. The payout that went directly to Ryan Brooks 2 weeks after her funeral. $300,000 that should have secured Liam's future. Instead, it had built Danielle's empire. I clicked through more files. Tax records. Business licenses. Then I found something interesting buried in the corporate filings. A loan application. Brooks Carter Realty had applied for a significant business loan 18 months ago. And on the application, they'd listed Maplewood Event Hall as collateral, but they'd inflated its value by nearly 40%. Loan fraud. Potentially criminal. I made a note, saved the document, added it to the growing folder I'd labeled simply, evidence. Patience. That's what my daughter used to tell me when I'd get frustrated with insurance companies or hospital bureaucracies. Mom, you taught me this. Sometimes you have to play the long game. So, I would play the long game. I'd file complaints with the Better Business Bureau. I'd contact the insurance company with evidence of beneficiary fraud. I'd reach out to every client who'd ever left a bad review of Brooks Carter Realty. I'd find a lawyer who specialized in image rights and unauthorized use of deceased persons' likenesses. I would dismantle their empire brick by brick. Not for revenge. For justice. For Sarah. For Liam. Thunder cracked closer now. Rain began to patter against the window. I glanced at the clock. 11:47 p.m. My email notification dinged. I almost ignored it. Probably spam. Or another automated refund promise from Maplewood that would never materialize. But something made me click. The subject line was simple. Booking confirmation. Maplewood Events Hall. My blood ran cold. I opened it with shaking hands. Dear Mrs. Carter, thank you for your reservation at Maplewood Events Hall. We're delighted to confirm your booking for the following event. Event: Birthday Celebration. Date: October 20th, 2026. Time: 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Guest of honor: Liam Carter.
Age: 9.
Special message: Happy 9th, Liam, from Grandma Danielle. We look forward to hosting your special day. Warmest regards, Maplewood Events Management. I read it 3 times. For times. The words didn't change. From Grandma Danielle. She was claiming my grandson.
Publicly.
Officially. Marking her territory 1 year in advance. This wasn't over. This was never going to be over. She'd stolen his 7th birthday. Now she was staking claim to his 9th. But as I stared at that email, something shifted inside me. The grief, the rage, the helplessness, it all crystallized into something harder, colder, more focused. I pulled up a new browser tab and typed, Nashville Investigative Journalists. If Danielle Brooks Carter wanted to play games with my family's name, then she'd learn what happens when you awaken a grandmother's fury. I had a year, 365 days to gather evidence, build a case, and expose every lie they'd built their empire on. And when Liam's 9th birthday arrived, the whole world would know exactly who Danielle Brooks Carter really was. I looked at Sarah's photo one more time. It was never over, I whispered. She wasn't done with us. But neither am I. Outside, lightning split the sky. The storm had arrived. If this happened in your family, would you fight back or disappear quietly? Comment your answer. And if you're not subscribed yet, do it now because part 2 is the day revenge came home.